What up, y'all? So, I'm actually doing a replay of this because I played this game offline and it really turned out to be a super crazy game. Now, ultimately, the starting kind of came off standard, so I'm going to go ahead and just speed up a little bit because it's kind of was a standard start. I'll pretty much just go till after everyone goes through their first waves for speeding up. No point of having to go slow for nothing.
Job done.
Okay.
Job done.
So now I'll go to normal speed. So ultimately, like orange, I played as yellow, and then
Job's done.
had teal and red. Interesting. I can't actually see red's roll, but it's all right. But ultimately, at the start, it was pretty back and forth for about a good few minutes. And then the game kind of started to turn on its side
Job's
for a
done.
while. But for me at the start, originally my thought process was I was going to go Dreadlord, and then I'll go Ghouls with Vampora, and then I wanted to go for 3 gold mines.
Job's done.
Because I was kind of wanting to do like a 3 gold mine strategy because a lot of my units were pretty cheap, like Dryads, Hippogriff or Spirit Walkers, Druids, Knights, Hippogriff Riders. They were like all super cheap, single target damage units. So my thought process was I wanted to kind of go ghouls at the start and hopefully get a little bit of a balance of strength during that time period while I got the rest of the gold mines and all that. And ultimately, I won this fight, but I also had seen him go for beetles, which then prompted me to get some dryads to counteract those beetles. And then I also saw Dark Ranger. So that also preferenced me of wanting to get those. But with red teched
Job's
up
done.
to level 2. So I kind of thought he would lose this fight, and then because of how close he was. But then I was like, well, he might be able to win. As a possibility on the next wave because he went for healing. So I was like, yeah, he could probably win on the next wave against blue because he's got Dispel, he's got healing. He should be able to counteract blue pretty well. But you'll also kind of see for a bit, you'll all see right here that that Dark Ranger staying alive. This is where it kind of started to flip on us a little bit. Because then I summoned out, and I'm already having to fight like all pretty practically a Dark Ranger, most of Purple's army, because he didn't lose many units other than his footmen at the time. So I was already outright kind of playing behind the 8 ball. And then I would Carrion Swarm as my second ability. But as you can see, I already kind of ended up losing the strength early on. And this game really, for a while, starts to spiral. But right now, this is where blue pushes back, if I'm not mistaken. Because blue has the healing and he's away from the tower. So my instinct of him being able to turn the tide was really, really a good possibility. The only downside is I believe it's like right here. He goes Orb of Darkness. And this right here is, I believe, where it starts to turn back in their favor again. Or it starts turning back in their favor here pretty soon. I think it's like the 10, maybe it was like the 8-9 minute mark. But for a while, we got to a point we played really, really defensive. But I think this is where I get kind of messed up, right? Yeah. Yeah, because my guy ends up running into the tower really early on. He didn't come around, he hit the units and got within the tower range. But ultimately, like, Red was going for unit items, primarily as his base. Hero items and then healing units.
Job's done.
But there is a point here pretty soon. But as you can see, I went for the 3 gold mines. I wasn't sure because we started having like a little bit of a, when we were kind of failing right here, I ended up holding off on that 3rd gold mine, and then I just decided screw it, because we were like controlling this lane a little bit, and it started looking like we might finally have turned it back in our favor. But there's a point, I think it's right here. Yeah, it's right here. He got that mana shield, stayed alive, which then put me in a bad position, because you're gonna see he uses that Fork of Lightning. And then on top of it, they've got the healing in the background, to where my ghouls just immediately kind of just got shredded. And then this guy staying alive allowed for a lot of just extra DPS in the background. That and grunts themselves are just way better than ghouls. And when you have 2 AoE heroes, they can really just nuke them down. But this is where they begin to really start taking massive control. And then you can see, like, literally where pretty much like this guy just kept staying alive and just putting a whole lot of damage down. Then I got level 3, and then I went level 2 Vampora. Because ultimately for me, I was still trying to just get longevity, because I have no healing units. So I was trying to just primarily keep a base. And I know someone will probably mention that I should have gotten hero items on Dreadlord, he would have stayed alive longer, and all of that. But I just decided I didn't really want to go hero items, especially with the fact if I hadn't already gotten them, me getting them now is chances are you're gonna lose the game more likely than you're gonna win it. Because at this point, you already see a Frostworm on the field. And as you can see, I'm only Hall 2, he's only Hall 2, and he's just going to Hall 3. So us already having Frostworms up against us already was kind of a bad scenario for us. So it's just lucky we had enough piercing to take him down early on. But this also I didn't know. Orange going 4 gold mines. Blue was on 3 gold mines. That actually right then and there. The fact that they have that many gold mines and controlling us so hard early on, that really honestly is the reason why we were in such trouble this entire time. Because if the fact that you can't push them back, you can't even get any kind of resemblance of strength, you already know you're pretty much in for a hard fight. Like, purple's the only one that stayed 2 gold mines. But orange being on 4, blue being on 3, both of us being on 3 and 2, that's actually just like really, really bad. But as you can see, it's literally just a flat out. Each time I come out, like you can see, I sold all of my ghouls because I was just like, they're pointless at this point. It was kind of a grasp of like, I just need to get more beefy units out on the field to hopefully be able to turn the tide. But that Pork Lightning did a lot of work on me because it killed a lot of my units in just one shot, which weakened me. And the worst part is the fact that we are on such a defensive aspect, going hyper expensive gold mines or hyper expensive units like chimeras just really wasn't gonna actually help out, because chimeras are good in mass, but the fact is 3 dryads is worth way more, or 3 druids of the Talon in this aspect is worth way more than 1 ship. And then a little bit you'll see kind of the reason why. But ultimately the thing that really started to kind of save us, even though I kind of thought this game was done, was over. I want to say at like the 17-minute mark, I thought this game was just absolutely over. Because literally we're at 15 minutes, our base is down to 1100. We're practically fighting constantly against 2.5, like an army and a half every time before I ever get to him. And then now he's got Frostworms himself, which is ultimately can easily shred my knights, just easily. Not even any real chance to it. But we're still just hanging on by a thread. They haven't gone any more like gold mines. The fact though that blue hasn't upgraded any units yet is actually bad. Is actually really bad for him. And then same with orange, they never upgraded units either. And they've been in control of the game this entire time. Had they have just all gone probably 1-1 units, I think they would have probably ended us a lot sooner. But ultimately, the thing that kept us really alive, really, was Teal's Necros and his Paladin. Those two, that two setup was probably the one thing that kept us continuing to fight. And then you can see I went Hippogriffs because I was trying to counter his air. But ultimately, I didn't get any more than just two. Because with how costly they were, and overall I would have, and then as you can see, he got another cheeky Fork Lightning that killed a lot of my units, which weakened me against orange again. So really that Naga Sea Witch really was a true pain in the neck for me for a big majority of this game. Because he kept staying alive, kept doing cheeky damage on me. But ultimately, that's the other kind of one surprising thing is nobody went unit upgrades, like really at all, yet. Like blue finally got one. Orange still has none, but he's got the priest with the armor and all that. But this is where the game, honestly, realistically, I thought should have ended, was right here. Because literally, look at how close we are. We should have probably lost right then and there. Because our base is such low health. But again, as you can see, the Necros did a lot of work. Pushed them out to where they couldn't do any cheeky attacks or splash. And then his units just kept staying alive. Which ultimately now, when I got here, his units are still alive. Which really helped out a lot. So this was kind of like the first grasp that we saw that was like, there's a chance. There's a chance we could turn this back around. And as you can see now, I went Druid of the Talon and I upgraded for my anti-air. Because these things, because they do a lot of work on Frostworms. Granted, yes, they are squishy, but at 140 cost, you can get 4 Druids for every 2 Hippogriff Riders. And I can guarantee you, those Hippogriff Riders, only 2 of them, is not going to do a lot. And with us being so on the defensive our time, I had to kind of be frugal and cheap on the units I bought. I couldn't go buy beefy, strong units, especially now with a level 6 Dark Ranger to go along with it. But right here, that you just saw that resurrection, that really came in really clutch for us when it comes to delaying them into the castle. And then those Necros just kept being just an absolute nuisance for him. That was kind of the one thing that was saving us, was they had not a whole lot of dispel. But all it would have took is just one cheeky unit to just decide to hit it. But as you can see, my talons are starting to do work, counteracting against their air. And ultimately, we finally got to a point we were starting to do some damage. Like, he goes down. That front, and then me getting level 6 here. This Inferno absolutely did a lot of work. Because it stayed alive for a good amount of time. And just allowed red to get some damage in. But this Inferno still being alive, plus 21. And then you see it comes in, does even more damage. It doesn't get like outright focused. And even my Talons were staying alive, some of my Dryads were staying alive, so we were able to start getting somewhat of a stack. And the fact that we got that stack and orange with this Pally and Necros being able to cause such a delay was able to really start helping us out a lot. But ultimately, we didn't fully push back right here. If I'm not mistaken, this all gets wiped out. And I end up fighting this stuff. But the benefit is they were really weakened compared to what they were. And right now, it looks like I think everyone was pretty much at 2-2 or 3-2. And then my Inferno going up again did a lot of help. But I think this right here is what really was able to do us a lot of work, a lot of benefit. Because my Druids of the Talon just actually was able to cheekily slice up a lot of Orange's air. I think at this point, I also went for a hero and got, there we go, there's the hero that I'm building. And right as soon as this hero comes out, that's when things start to get interesting. But it's looking like as if like we're actually starting to push him. His Dreadlord is starting to be able to do some work. His Inferno, or both of us have an Inferno, does a lot of extra damage. But again, that Paladin came up really big. And as you can see, I got Priestess of the Moon. And for her, I chose to go the ranged unit. I went the ranged upgrade first instead of going for any of the other skills. Because the benefit we have is we have a lot of range damage. I went Dreadlord hoping to go for like a healing powerhouse up front with the Knights, but it wasn't happening. By getting Druids of the Talon and being able to counteract the air with them really helped a lot. And you'll even see right now, we slice them down, and my Druids of the Talon just start wrecking havoc on their air. And Orange, he started doing, I don't know what he exactly did, but he all of a sudden became susceptible to the ground. And the fact that my Knights stayed alive made my Priestess staying alive in the background. This is where the game really shifts on its head. Because like she was at level 1 when she got summoned. And as you can see, we're starting to get pushes in because you have the Kodo, you have the Devote, you have literally a lot of face for us. Good armor, extra attack, the Lich has the benefit as well. So with this stack up, we actually right now at the moment, we have Vamp Aura on the ground. You've got the ranged aura. You've got Devotion Aura. So you got longevity, you've got damage, you've got HP recovery for melee. Once we got to this point, we were able to get it to spiral. And then as you can see, I went for a lot of druids because I just got to a point I was like, it was too much expense. It was just better off having all these druids. And you'll see right here how quickly they dispatch the Wyverns en masse. Like if you look and you notice, his air is gone. In the blink of an eye, his air was just gone. But ultimately, if you look at it, 167 on our castle. 167. And we literally were able to flip it and push it all the way back. Like Red was still even nothing on his defense. But that really turned on its head. But thank y'all for watching, and I hope you actually liked this video. If you like this kind of style where I'm talking more about a game versus me playing it live, let me know because I could do some more of these if you like it. But until then, hope you all have a good day. Later.